Bwaaa!
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Bwaaa, King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
Rusty, we have Season 1, Episode 6, Hank's Unmentionable Problem.
Oh, yeah. This one's a real gas.
It is a real, well, yeah, I guess it's only gas.
Or maybe, yeah, that's all it is gas.
Yeah, so the entire theme of this episode is the fact that Hank is constipated.
The episode is called Hank's Unmentionable Problem.
Right,
So.
right. Yeah, just he can't, I don't believe he ever says the word constipation in the entire episode.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
And actually, the one thing that I like about this episode is who wrote it. So the writers specifically of this one are Mike Judge and Greg Daniels.
Yeah,
there you go. So it's written by the creators themselves, and I think this is really a really funny episode, and I guess you could tell, like, I'm not saying it's the funniest one that they've had yet, because I think there's earlier episodes that are funnier, but it's just, you could tell that it's these guys that are writing it.
This is like the roots. This is exactly what they want the show to be, is what it feels like.
Absolutely.
Right? Just regular problems, regular people, and the funny situations that come out of it, like going to the doctor. So we open this with Peggy sitting there rattling her boggle cubes around. And we haven't really gotten into Peggy's boggle addiction / skill yet.
No, this is the first you see of anything related to boggle, which becomes super thematic,
which is
later on.
It's just amazing to me to pick something like that and make it a character trait. Especially in an animated show, it just seems like you went above and beyond and you picked Boggle. So somebody in one of those two guys' family loves Boggle.
Somebody does.
It's got to be a thing. So you see her rattling around the Boggle cubes, and Luann comes in, and Peggy starts asking her how the beauty school went, because she knew she had the big shampooing final.
Oh, yeah, the big shampoo final.
She said, well, I passed lather, but I failed rinse. And then I failed repeat, too, because it included rinse. And I don't think that's fair.
Very fair.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then you got Hank coming out of the water closet.
Yeah, and he's got his head down, and he looks kind of disappointed.
Yeah, Peggy's like, Hank, you forgot to flush. And he said, didn't have to, didn't do anything. And so Peggy's starting to get worried now. She's worried about the fact that Hank can't make.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he hasn't. And it's funny they say that a couple times where he hasn't made.
They do. They
when
say
he sits
make
down with
or
Bobby,
made.
he says, you haven't made yet?
So she wants to know how long it's been going on. And Hank, of course, he doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want anything to do with it. And so
yes, it's swallowing his feelings. He's
Yeah,
swallowing whatever. He's swallowing too much steak is what he's doing.
It's another gulp.
Yeah, it's all that red meat clogging his track there.
So they talk about how long's it been going on, and Hank, of course, gets a little irritated. He's like, for God's sakes, I'm going to get a bite. He's just tired of having that conversation. Goes in the kitchen and starts rummaging through the refrigerator.
Constipated to the max.
Wants to know if there's any more chicken fried steak left.
Constipated to the max, asking for chicken fried steak. I got a funny story actually about constipation since we're on it.
Okay.
I guess about
it could have gone one or two ways. It was either constipation or chicken fried steak story.
Yeah, it could have went anywhere.
Sure.
So about 3 years ago, it was the first time and only time in my life I've ever been constipated, to be honest with you. So we're at dinner. We decided to go to dinner, and I'm just on a really, like, my stomach is just killing me at this point. But, steak night. So we go to Roadhouse.
Yeah.
I get the real nice 20-ounce. I get a good tall beer.
Sure.
And I power through it all.
Checked all the boxes.
I powered through it
Yeah.
all, knowing my stomach would probably hate me for it, and
Right.
everything else would hate me for it.
Right.
Ate all that, drank all that.
Hang on. What's your side?
Oh, the side? Oh, I had a baked potato.
potato,
All
of course.
starch.
There you
All
go.
starch.
That's
Well,
it.
I always have the
Gotta do
little
baked
bowl of
potato.
broccoli too. I like
Yeah,
broccoli,
sure.
but that's just a counterbalance.
You go to a
You
steak
gotta have a
place.
little fiber.
You go to a steak place though, and their broccoli, if it's any good, the
Stop and
steak
wet.
may not be as
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It seems like they can focus on one thing at a time, and you hope it's the steak.
And you hope it's the
Yeah.
steak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Because
the
usually,
broccoli.
if
right.
the like you said, if the broccoli comes out and it's like pitiful and it's like in a
mhm.
bowl of water, then it's probably the best
Means the
steak you'll
steak's
ever
pretty
eat.
good, yeah.
But I power through the whole meal, and I get home, and I don't know if it was the steak or the beer
Uh-huh.
or what it was, but it was just like boom, flowed like
Ready to
water.
go.
It was like I was
Yeah.
really surprised because I thought I'd
Yeah.
be messed up for another full week.
Maybe it was like a Roto-Rooter,
Yeah, like a
big
flush.
chunks got in there and got them out. Yeah.
And then it takes us back to the King of the Hill and off of my constipation problems. So I like the next part where he does the product plug.
Hang on one second. Let me talk about this chicken fried steak.
Okay.
There is nothing worse than leftover chicken fried steak.
Oh no, it's terrible.
It's so soggy and nasty.
Anything
and so
fried the next day is usually not good.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is there weren't any air fryers at this point, right?
No, it's just grease.
So I'm trying to think, how is Hank fixing this chicken fried steak? Maybe the only thing I can think of is, and I don't know if your family was like this too, they would make like chicken fried steak sandwiches out of it the next day. Mayonnaise.
No, there was no leftovers.
Really?
Yeah. If there was leftovers sometimes, but most of the time, I'd make sure everybody had their meal, and I'd walk through the house. Has everybody eaten? Speak now, or forever hold your plate, because whatever's left is going to be consumed in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
I'm gonna eat it all.
So I used to sweep the house to make sure everybody had eaten first.
All right. So you're saying
The
there is
Mega
a
Mucil
product
plug.
placement.
Yeah. So
Well,
of course it's Mega Low Mark.
It is Mega Mucil. Yeah.
Yeah.
She says she takes 10 heaping tablespoons every night. Teaspoons. But 10.
10 teaspoons in a glass of water daily to stay regular. That's a lot. That's more than regular. That's just marching out.
You're not getting off the toilet. You're taking
you're
10
not.
of those things.
That's a lot of Mega Mucil.
She says, look, it's all gentle and all natural. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no way that stuff's all natural.
No. Mega Mucil? No.
Mega Mucil, yeah. No, and Hank...
Probably cut with like wood chips or something.
That's
Yeah.
right. Hank is very upset. He doesn't want to talk about it. It's his own personal private business. And Peggy is just like, well, at least drink the water. Maybe the water will flush out.
Water
or
will flush,
whatever.
yeah.
Next thing we have is it's breakfast time. So we're assuming it's next day.
Yeah.
Bobby's sitting there with his big plate full of eggs and sausage. And Hank's like, that looks good. Where's my breakfast? And Peggy brings him some muffins.
Baked muffins, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Oat bran muffins.
oat bran muffins. The thing that kills me is she goes, well, I baked some muffins. He goes, well, good for you. He goes, where's my sausage at? Yeah. And then she has to explain to him that she's out of sausage. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, she's completely out of sausage, which I think is probably a lie. She said, she goes, I thought you were constant. And he's like, where would you get such an idea?
Yeah.
So, sorry, that was Bobby saying that. But anyway, he ends up arguing with Bobby back and forth and gets his sausage from him.
Yeah, he goes,
So
they
he
help
ends
you
up
make.
taking it
Yeah, he
anyway.
tells him you should eat those on the muffins. He goes, they'll help you make.
So we start down this long road of Hank wishing he could go to the bathroom. First, it's Ladybird. She's at the door whimpering. And Hank's like, what do you want, Ladybird? And then she goes out and she does her business. And he's like, show off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about the dog.
The next scene is my favorite scene in the whole show. Then
Yeah.
in this episode, this specific episode, this would be my favorite scene is the interaction between Peggy and Nancy,
Yeah.
which is our first full
This is where we-
speaking part for Nancy. I
Right.
feel
And
like.
we learn a lot about Nancy.
And
at
we
this
learn
point.
a
Yeah.
lot about
Yeah.
her right here.
That's right.
Well, we already have learned a lot about her. So the only
Sure.
thing you really know about her now is that she cheats on her husband.
Right.
You don't know her anything about her job or
Right,
anything like that.
right,
You just
right.
know that she cheats on her husband with John Redcorn fairly frequently and fairly often and quite regularly and blatantly in front of the whole neighborhood. So Nancy, they're talking, and Nancy says,
her and Peggy.
Yeah, her and Peggy, Nancy and Peggy. So Peggy tells Nancy, well, I'm worried about Hank, and he hasn't done his business in 4 days. Right. And she's like, oh, well, good Lord, poor Hank. And, talking about how he looks so healthy. And then she goes, but then, so did Elvis. And then she says, you didn't think it's something serious, and to Nancy. And she says, well, I'm a meteorologist, not a doctor. But if I had to make an educated guess, I'd say he's got polio, which I'm sure he's probably been vaccinated for.
That is the worst guess ever.
Yeah, at his age, if you had polio, he'd be crippled because he was probably born right before the vaccination for that stuff. And she goes, well, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm a weather girl, which a lot of weather people aren't really weather people.
Yeah,
they're just
they're
face
just,
for the weather.
They're just talking heads. Yeah.
David Letterman being one. He was just
true.
a talking head for the weather.
Yeah, so then we go outside, and Bill is questioning Hank about being backed up. Of course, Hank's like, nope, not me. And then here comes Boomhauer with some random girl in his car.
Always.
And Boomhauer's like, I've been thinking about what you bought him, man. You talks about. Anyway, the girl says that it helped her sister after she was pregnant, or when she was pregnant. And he's like, do I know you?
Yeah, do I know you?
Yeah, so they talk about how everybody's going to give him some advice now, right? So Bill's telling him to go ride on the lawnmower. That should help. Boomhauer's telling him to go swimming. I'm not sure about swimming. Loosening up your bowels, but
yeah, and then Dale says if you tried squatting, it takes the pressure off the lower body.
Squatting,
which it does. I bought a squatty potty thing, the thing that like the stool that you put your feet on.
Yeah.
Oh man, it flows.
It flows.
No issues.
And then Dale, of course, has the best advice of all of them. He wants Hank to just take a spoonful of bacon grease.
Yeah, just a spoonful of bacon grease. You take a spoonful of bacon grease. I'm not eating that.
I'm not eating bacon grease.
That's funny.
And Dale's like, oh, you didn't let me finish. So I don't know what he was wanting him to do with the bacon grease. Then we go back inside, and Peggy is sitting there watching TV.
Yeah, and then there's a commercial that pops up.
You see the old man with a beard on there saying, simple chronic constipation can be a symptom of something more serious. I should know. I'm former Surgeon General C. Everett Koop. Yeah. And so Hank finds out that Nancy knows all about it, and he's pissed off at this point. He wants to know why she would tell Nancy about his bathroom problems. Then he looks at the TV, sees the old guy talking about the food not being absorbed and entering the pouch-like cecum.
Yeah, then he says, who the hell is that, Howard Stern?
So he starts changing the channel. He gets to the news channel, obviously, and Nancy's on there giving the weather. She's talking about the weather, and then on a more personal note, I want to wish my friend Hank Hill a quick recovery from his embarrassing constipation. And then
straight on TV, and local news.
Not only did he turn the TV off, he kicks the plugs out of the wall.
Yeah, he kicks the plugs out of the wall. But it's got to be embarrassing for him because he's not just a regular guy in the neighborhood. He is the propane salesman. So he is a public figure. He goes and he has to. He's an account manager too, so he manages all these different accounts with all these different businesses.
And if we remember right, he had to keep his grades up to become a propane salesman.
He had to keep his grades up.
Had to keep his grades up.
And Bill wanted to drink every day just like his dad.
That's right.
So I think they've both succeeded in their goals.
They did it. And so they have a little bit of an argument about it. He's very tired of Peggy worrying about it. She's just talking about how she's worried about him. It's better to talk things out. He said, not these things, not toilet things. So doesn't want to talk about any of his toilet problems. And then Hank's like, well, all right. And then Peggy says, if it makes you feel better, I'll just sit here silently and sulk.
Yeah.
He's like, finally, great. So next thing we see them, they are at Luli's again, not Luby's, but Luli's. Hank is ordering from behind the sneeze guard.
Oh, and his order is just, what is it, skirt steak?
I'll have some skirt steak, some brisket, a little piece of that New York steak, a couple of them steak fingers, and a burger.
And then she says, Hank, please just have one veggie.
All right, put some macaroni and cheese on there,
Yeah,
too.
a veggie, like pasta and cheese. All right, that's a veggie.
Yeah, then we see the lawnmower running. Hank is out on the lawnmower, and Peggy's inside making some chocolate sauce. Is at least what Bobby thinks it is.
Oh, absolutely. And she tells him what it is. It is a laxative for your father.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then we cut to Hank sitting there eating his ice cream with his chocolate sauce on it, and he asked Peg where she got it because it's so good.
And then he goes, Bobby, try some. And he said, I thought you'd never ask. And Bobby knew exactly what it was.
Bobby knew what it was.
He goes, Bobby, you know what that is? So? What? He didn't even care. What is
right.
it?
Yeah,
Laxative.
and then that's when Hank finds out it's a laxative, and he's very upset.
He's upset, which is funny. That I'll go ahead and touch on what I was texting you about with Peggy Hill the other night, trending on Twitter. So the other night there was a news article that somebody had posted, or an opinion article or something from some web blog or whatever.
Right,
That's
sure.
pretty popular blog.
Yeah.
And it was calling Peggy a bad mother and a bad wife and stuff like that. And Twitter absolutely went berserk with it, kind of thing. They ran with it, memes and everything about it.
Right.
But I think this right here is one of the reasons why they think that Peggy is generally a bad person. But I don't think she's a bad person. I think she does bad things sometimes, but with the intention of doing good. She has all these good intentions, but generally there's, not always a favorable outcome just because of her mentality and how she is. But
yeah, I don't think she's a bad person.
No, not
I think
at
she
all.
always means well.
Oh, well, man, they were giving them what for on Twitter. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty, though. They
It's
were
really,
like,
really funny.
how bad a mother she is and all that stuff. I mean, she tries really, really hard.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a bad person.
No, but that's what one of here's a tweet right here from 6532 Midnight. He says, Peggy Hill believes she could carry her son out of a burning building, but failed when she tried to demonstrate it. So when she tried to demonstrate it, she went back and she actually went to school to go learn how to do it. So I remember that episode.
Yeah.
She couldn't carry him
Yeah.
out, so she went back and actually learned
Right.
and skilled herself up. So I don't know. I really think that Peggy Hill's good. And the people call her a terrible mother while her best friend Nancy is next door,
Right.
raising her illegitimate child.
Yeah,
and
that's what I
somebody
didn't
else.
understand about this whole battle. They were like, oh, Nancy's good and Peggy's bad. Really?
Yeah, Nancy didn't get any flack, just Peggy.
So he's very upset because he's afraid that Peggy's trying to drug him. I mean, it's just laxatives.
Good
but
God.
Still, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Good
right.
God. I like that.
They have another little argument, and then the next thing we see is Peggy's asleep and she's having a nightmare. The nightmare is all about Hank dying because he was constipated.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Polyps.
That's right.
Polyps are worse.
That's right. We see Hank's funeral, and this is the graveside. Everybody's there. Bill says he looks like an angel, a dead angel.
Yeah, dead angel. Oh
And
my
then-
ding dong
oh my-
dang old why
oh.
it should have been Bill.
Oh my dang old dang 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 old dang. And then Dale,
Oh,
it
why
should have been Bill.
Should have been
That's
Bill.
Right, that's
yeah.
right. Peggy says we never got a chance to talk about your constipation, and now we never will. And then we see Everett Koop is actually officiating.
Yeah, he's officiating
the
it.
funeral, and it says now turn in your algebra homework.
Yeah, remember, early detection is the key.
That's right. That's right. Oh, and this is this the second time we see Cotton? Right, we've seen Cotton before.
Yeah, we see Cotton at the artificial insemination.
Right.
Yeah, that episode.
And he's see you in hell, boy.
Yeah, see you
Just
in hell.
ends up
And
flushing
him.
flushing him. So she wakes up, she screamed, and then she runs into the bathroom, and Hank's on the toilet asleep. Scares the crap out of him. Well, not really, but scares him.
Yeah.
And he's like, occupied. Close the damn door. Can't you see I'm in here?
Peg?
Right.
Don't touch me. I'm on the John. She's sitting there giving him a hug.
That's right.
I was so scared. I dreamed you died.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want anybody in the bathroom with me.
I really don't. I don't mind
Really?
all the way up until the wipe.
Uh,
Like while I'm using the bathroom, that's fine. But I think the wipe is too personal.
Yeah, I grew up in Hank's house. You're not supposed to be in a bathroom with each other.
Yeah, well, it was all guys except for my mom and my sisters, me and my dad, my brother. So generally, if we were peeing, the door was open anyway.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know, just that it just didn't transition, I guess.
I remember one time, my parents were not as, and maybe it's because they weren't as close-minded as this about some of this stuff, that I just didn't want to see it, right? But I remember one time my dad calling my mother into the bathroom because he had made a real big poop. And like after that, I was like, yep, nobody's ever going in there with me. Nope. I'm good. Thank you very much. So anyway, she ends up convincing Hank to go to the doctor. He's gonna do it, and he's like, get out of here, and throws the toilet paper at the door as she leaves. So now we get to the doctor's office, and of course it's a family affair. All three of them have to go.
Well, the first thing I noticed about the doctor's office was the gigantic no smoking sign right above the receptionist.
Yeah.
Which now, if you go into hospitals, you don't see really that much no smoking paraphernalia anywhere, because now it's just commonplace in society. You know that if you're somewhere like that, you're just not. There's no smoking section or anything like that. And there's a lot of medical facilities now that require you to walk all the way down to the curb to go smoke.
Oh, yeah.
If you're smokers.
Absolutely.
They don't even let you smoke on the campus anymore.
So they're sitting there in the doctor's office lobby, and Hank goes up to the nurse and says, I'm here to see Dr. Whoever. And she's like, well, what's your problem? And he doesn't want to say it out loud. And then, of course, to compound this problem, here comes this old lady out of the doctor's office that seems to know Hank. And he's like, oh, Mrs. McIntosh, because she calls him Hanky.
Hanky.
And so she says, this is an old person's doctor. Why are you here? And then Peggy says, he hasn't been able to take a walk. He hasn't been able to take a walk.
I threw my knee out playing touch football.
That's right.
I just feel like just his toxic masculinity, it's so funny. I really like how they keep that theme throughout the whole deal.
Sure.
Like he never ever wavers from it too often, and he's so like pent up inside that he can't even admit to having a problem like constipation. He's got to switch it to something like, oh well, I was playing touch football instead of just saying, well, I'm constipated. Yeah.
So the lady at the desk is like, sir, I can't read this. What does it say? Contact, convict, what? So anyway, she asks him why he's seeing the doctor. And this continues when they go into the doctor's room, into the observation room, or whatever you call it. And the doctor says, oh, I see you're suffering from consumption. Peggy's like, constipation. Oh, constipation. Well, that's quite a different matter. All right. So number one, this doctor, I would not go back and see this doctor. I think I would probably have walked out on this doctor.
Oh yeah.
I understand that Hank is this masculine guy and he wants to do all these things the way that he wants to do them and stuff. But this doctor goes over the line.
Oh yeah, this doctor is definitely, he's got that small town doctor feel.
yeah. He asked him about, the last time he went, and he said, and of course Peggy's like, oh, it's been 5 days. He usually goes every other day.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like enough to begin with to me, if you're only going every 2 days.
No, I feel like at least once a day.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if I don't shit at least once a day, I feel like I'm getting sick. I feel like something's wrong.
So she says to the doctor, she's having a full-on conversation with the doctor now because Hank's not involved.
Yeah, Hank doesn't give a damn at this point. He doesn't even like discussing poop.
Right. She says, of course, when we were first married, he'd go every day. I spoke to his mom, and she said the most interesting thing, said when he was a teenager, he'd be in there 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah, we know why he was in there.
Hank's
a lot
like,
different reason than taking a dump. Yeah.
That's right. Mr. Hill, this is helpful, says the doctor.
He probably had stiff socks, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he says they're going to do a sigmoidoscopy, which I'm pretty proud of myself for being able to pronounce that, and then I couldn't say it.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
See, honey, aren't you glad we're here? So he says, Mr. Hill, why don't you go ahead and take your pants off? And so Peggy's like, why are you not taking your pants off? Well, there's no sense in taking them off until the doctor gets in here. He's even embarrassed with his wife in the room.
In the room
to take his damn
pants off, and even tells the nurse, even like reiterates,
yeah,
sir, you're gonna need to take your pants off for Dr. Morley.
But,
like, you got to take your pants off, dude.
So he finally takes his pants off, and then he's still so uncomfortable that he goes, "Oh, look at that, Peg, cotton balls."
Yeah, he's just trying to
white ones.
He's just sitting there trying to deflect, like he's trying to make it,
right,
trying to make himself feel comfortable. But he just, I don't know. It's so weird how he's like that. I love how they do that.
How many you think they're in there? I bet 30.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, doctor comes in, and then of course a medical student comes in too, which has got to compound what Hank's got going on to begin with.
Double it.
Hank has to get up on the table, turn his butt towards or face the wall, so that the guy can stick the scope up Hank and check everything out. And then,
oh no, we missed something here that was
I'm
funny
sorry.
to me. There was a gag that was real funny. So the doctor tells him to turn his face to a wall, and then there was knocking on the door, and he goes, "You want me to get that?" And he's like, "No."
So he asked him. He goes, "Hey, can you just take a picture through the gown?" Of course, he can't do that. So he turns his butt towards him, and he's getting ready to take the scope. And then we get the knocking. The medical student comes in, and then they start taking a look at it. And then here comes Bobby, who Bobby was just kind of wandering around this complex or the hospital or wherever it is.
Yeah.
Because what I don't understand is he was in the doctor's waiting room with them, and then when they went back to the doctor's to the observation room, Bobby just disappeared.
Probably was at the vending machine getting snacks.
Probably. And then we see Bobby coming down on the elevator.
Did they have vending machines with snacks in them in the 90s?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They probably
Well,
all
in hospitals.
snowballs and stuff.
Yeah.
But you see Bobby in the elevator, and of course he's just wasting time, and so he lights up every one of the buttons. And I don't know if you ever did that when you were a kid, but
anytime we were in a place that had buttons, as far as elevators,
push them.
If it had more than the floor I was going to, I was going to rake them all the way up. And
did you ever push the fireman button?
Never pushed the fire button.
Yeah,
I was more afraid.
You really wanted to, though, right?
Yeah, it was hard not to, but I was more afraid of the consequences from my dad than I was anything else.
Absolutely.
So I just stayed away from that.
You can probably outrun a fireman, but maybe not your dad.
Here recently, I was in the Alico delivering a package to the top floor.
Yeah.
And once I hit the bottom floor, I went and raked them all up before I left. It's just I couldn't help myself. I was like, you know what? I haven't done this in years.
I get it.
And I felt really giddy, and I was driving home the whole way. And I'm like, man, I really just inconvenienced probably like 30 people.
So Bobby does this on his way out, and then the next scene we see is a couple rushing into the elevator because the lady is obviously very pregnant. And he goes, "Honey, we made it." And they get in there, and then you see it go to the next floor, then the next floor, and then you hear a baby cry.
Yeah, 6th floor maternity. Yeah.
They're trying to get up to the 6th floor, and she has the baby about the 2nd floor. So the doctor is now inserting a special camera that they use to view the inside of Hank's colon. Hank would like for someone to just kill him.
Yeah, just kill me now.
He asked for a bite
plate.
Said, "Do you need a bite plate, Mr. Hill?" And in comes Bobby. Bobby's knocking on the door. "Mom, I'm hungry." And then Bobby gets very concerned after seeing his dad's bare butt, which I don't really understand why they would have you face that way if that's where the door opens. But
I don't understand why the door would be openable. I figured like if they were doing something like that, like an operation type thing.
Like
well, it's not an operation,
but
something as invasive as sticking something up your ass, you'd have the door locked so nobody's coming in and out.
Yeah, when they ask me to cough, I don't want the door open.
Yeah, I don't want the door open either.
So Bobby gets very upset. He's like, "Dad, what are they doing to you?"
Yeah,
and
his face looks real concerned.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the doctor gets involved and says, "It's okay. Bobby can be here because when one of us faces an illness, the whole family does."
They're your get well team.
That's right.
He goes,
team.
"This part is my second favorite part." So he goes, hey there, Ace, do you like video games? He goes, well, this is a joystick, just like a video game joystick. Only my red button fires a real laser. And he goes, cool. And he's like messing with the stick, making shooting sounds. And he goes, Bobby, say you're good. And he said, maybe you could help us out a little later. And he's like, just kidding, Mr. Hill.
Yeah, that's why I would not go back and see that doctor. The other line that tells me why I would not go see this doctor is when the doctor looks at Hank and says, Mr. Hill, smile. It just might help.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
I tell you what,
smile.
get out of here, doctor.
Yeah,
I don't need you. I don't
you're sitting
need
here
you to tell me to smile. I'm
shoving
good.
stuff up my ass and you're telling me to smile. Yeah, probably not going to happen.
Yeah. All right. So
well, I mean, unless he's taking me to dinner afterwards.
That's
and
true.
Then I'd
That's
probably
right.
smile.
That's right. Maybe I asked for it. Now we're taking the adventure through Hank's colon, and Peggy is very excited about this because it's got so many
deep
twists.
Dive.
It's got so many twists and turns. I don't know what's next.
It's a real deep analysis.
Analysis. That's right. And so the doctor says, Bobby, I've got this special camera in your grandfather's colon.
He says, I'm his
I'm
father.
His father.
Yeah.
Your father's colon. He doesn't really miss a beat. He tells Bobby that the amazing thing about the human colon is if you stretched it out, it would go all the way around the earth.
25,000 miles around.
25,000 miles. That's not possible.
He said a piece of steak would have to shoot through your system faster than the speed of sound. Well, that's impossible. And then the doctor goes, well, there ain't nothing going through your intestines that fast.
So I looked it up as I was watching this. Your colon's only 5 foot long.
Yeah.
What is wrong with this doctor that says you can stretch it all the way around
the
planet?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so they have the back and forth about the steak going through his colon, and then Bobby wants to know, hey, can I be a proctologist when I grow up? All right, so the medical student asks Hank to please relax his buttocks because everybody's making him very tense, obviously.
Very tense.
And then they want to know how Peggy's holding up, which I don't really understand that question. But
well, there is Get Well team. Everybody's got to be on point for the Get Well team.
They're like, Miss Hill, how are you holding up? And she goes, well, I'm a little uncomfortable. I've been sitting here for so long.
Well, as big as her feet is, she should just stand up for a little while, take some pressure off her back.
So they're going to take a 5-minute break, which they're taking a break, but they don't remove the thing from his colon. So there's going to be 5 minutes there where Hank is still laying on the table with this thing up his butt, and everybody else is taking a smoke break.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then he tells him, he goes, so the best option at this point is to do something surgically. And he says, apparently your low-fat, high-fiber diet's not working. Mm-hmm. And then Peggy looks at him all side-eye, and says, well, maybe Hank just needs to give his low-fat, high-fiber diet a little more time. She goes, isn't that right, Hank?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so the doctor is going to reserve an operating room for the end of the week. He'll give him till the end of the week. If he doesn't make by then they're going to go in surgically and do something. And everybody's very worried about it. So Hank agrees to go along with this high-fiber, low-fat diet. And the next thing we see is Hank and Peggy at a health food store. And they are looking for something that maybe is a little healthier option. This is very much a Whole Foods co-op type place or
somewhere
something
you'd
like
go
that.
in Austin.
What I'm wondering is if this is the same co-op that Hank helps run later.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, later on. So you've got this hippie, very like dippy hippie kind of guy behind the counter, and they start asking about all the stuff there. And they say, what about these hot dogs? He goes, those are faux dogs.
He calls them not dogs.
Not dogs.
They're not dogs. They're made of tofu.
They're not dogs. And he said, I can't eat this crap. Well, then try this tofu. It's for people who can't eat.
Yeah, it's for the tofu intolerant.
Right, can't eat
tofu intolerant, yeah.
So she says, now, would that be good for a man who's constipated? I didn't say it was you, Hank.
Yeah.
So now here comes Luann. She's found.
Hold on. There was a gag you missed that was funny.
Yeah.
So he goes, well, I didn't say this was for you. And then she goes, well, is this for your husband? And she goes, yes, we'll take a quart of the brown rice broth too. And then Hank is just, he sighs and he goes, well, do you have anything that tastes good? And the guy goes, no.
No. He looks around for a minute and says no. So Luann comes bopping up, and she's got a flyer in her hand, and she has found a doctor who does moxibustion.
A moxibustionist.
Moxibustionist.
Whatever that is. Bustion.
I had never heard of a moxibustionist.
Did you look it up?
I did look it up.
What is a moxibustion?
So this is like what do you call it when they stick it with the needles?
Acupuncture. So I imagine with the word bustion in it, it's probably fire.
It's flame, yeah. So what they do is the actual acupuncture, but then they also burn these little leaves real close to your skin. I don't know what that's supposed to do, but that's the moxibustionist part.
Relieves stress and opens energy channels, I'm guessing, according to this.
Yeah.
And then Hank goes, well, what the heck is that? And then, he sticks needles in your skin and sets them on fire. And he goes, well, if anyone ever tried that on me, I'll kick his ass.
Which is fantastic because it is foreshadowing to something that happens in a minute.
Yeah.
So now we see Hank, he's back at home, and he's just kind of watching TV. And he's shouting about something. You think he's watching a football game for like the football part, but no.
Yeah.
He's very upset that they're going to pour the Gatorade down the coach's back.
Yeah. Gatorade all down his back.
So Peggy comes in and tells him it's bathroom time. So now she's scheduling bathroom time for him. And
well, it's like. It's not only scheduling like it's like a chore at this point because this is where Dale comes running up and said, well, we were wondering if Hank could come out and play kind of thing, if he could come help us with the fence. And then she's like, well, I'm sorry, Dale. He's in there working it out, having his bathroom time.
Yeah, well, maybe later. So next thing is, and I didn't catch the name of the restaurant in this one, but it's the same one they go to where they go to get their barbecue. So it's probably Sugarfoot's.
I think it's probably Sugarfoot's. I missed that too, yeah.
So they're all, and when I say all, they're all sitting there at a table just chowing down on meat.
I don't understand how much meat they can. That's why he's
it's a lot of meat, man. There's a lot of meat going on. And
well, that's, I worked with a lot of red-faced Americans and high blood pressure guys and stuff like that, working in factories and stuff.
Right.
And it would blow my mind the amount of meat that they would discuss consuming. Like, I'm all for, a barbecue, and stuff like that.
Right.
And I love red meat too.
Right.
But, man, the amount of red meat, I don't even know how they could afford to eat red meat 5 times a week. But these guys would just talk about, and I was like,
it's all they think about.
I was like, guys, do you realize
red meat,
that's
beer,
why
and
you're overweight? That's why you're extremely red. I said, you're red you're so red, it's unbelievable. Like, you look like you've got a sunburn on your face and it's wintertime.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's all
you guys got to get that checked out. Yeah. From all that red meat and cheap booze.
So, that has a lot to do with it as well.
Natural light. Yeah, that'll get you.
So they're all there for kind of a support group for Hank because he can't go to his
cheerleading squad, his poop squad.
He's the only one with a salad. The rest of them are all chowing down on this meat.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about how much support that is.
Not much.
So
well, they're there, so I guess.
I guess
that's enough
you're right.
support.
Yeah. He and Peggy are now going to go to the bathroom, right? And the men's room is locked, and so Peggy has him go into the women's room, which it's just humiliation after humiliation for Hank, honestly, throughout this entire thing. He's sitting there in the women's bathroom. Yeah. It's got a cowgirl on a bucking bronco, and then he looks over, and there's the tampon machine. And for somebody like Hank, this is just like the lowest you can get.
I'm surprised he would even go in there, honestly. I know it's the lowest you could get for him, but I'm even shocked that he would agree to it. Like,
this just kind of shows you how beaten down he is at
I
this
see
point.
Hank, like, shitting out back behind the dumpster before I see him using the women's restroom.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of odd that he would even agree to that.
So he goes in there and he tries, and while he's doing that, we cut back out to all the friends at the table eating the meat, and Bill is very deep into conversation. He's saying, well, you see what I'm saying is salad doesn't always have to be salad.
Yeah.
There's potato salad, and he's starting to name all the salads that aren't salad.
Yeah.
So Hank comes back in, and obviously he couldn't go, and he apologizes for letting everybody down.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Peg. I let you down. I let you all down.
Which is just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, he's
he can't take a dump, so he's let everybody down.
Well, that was the stipulations with the doctor, is that the doctor scheduled the surgery a week away from that day, and if he didn't, shit in that whole week's time, then he was going to have to go to surgery. So that's what the goal is right now, is he's trying to beat the clock. So he says, I'm sorry I let you all down. Everybody's, well, don't worry, Hank, it's all right. You still got 24 hours before your appointment. We got to make the most of it. So it's just, at this point, he's afraid of losing his colon because the doctor told him he would never be able to wear shorts again, which I don't think really bothers Hank too much. I
was trying to figure that out whenever the doctor gave that joke. I was like, does that mean like you have a prolapse or something? Is that why you can't wear shorts?
I don't know. I have no clue. But
you can live an almost regular life, except you can't ever wear shorts.
You can't ever wear shorts again.
So now we're within that 24-hour window. It's getting to be game time here. He's going to have to go get an operation if something doesn't happen.
Yeah,
we're back to Peggy and the next door neighbor talking with each other.
Nancy, yeah, and she's just running through it all in her head where they're talking about, well, Hank's a little down and
he's a shell of a
man, and she was discussing how she never thought he'd have the willpower to give up things that he enjoyed. So, like giving up the beer and all the red meat and stuff for the time that he's doing it, she starts to kind of think, oh well, if it wasn't for me, he'd be eating burgers in the backyard with his friends and drinking beer and shouting at the TV.
She finally hears
having
herself.
Fun. So she starts to hear herself.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, I'm taking all the things that are fun away from him. And, if I'm a man of my 40s and I was told by a doctor to change my diet, I think that living is more important to me than munching on steak. So I like this again is like a testament to Hank Hill's, the principle of life kind of thing, and how he's never willing to waver from what his principles are. So this is where Peggy's like, well he didn't want to give up all the things he loves, and now she's starting to feel bad about it.
There is something to that, though. I mean, because he lives a certain way. He's done this forever.
It's letting go of that certain part of yourself.
Yeah, and now he's like, well, this is everything I stand for. Like if you ask me to stop selling propane or whatever, I mean, this just crushes him. There's only like 3 or 4 things in Hank's life, and this is one of them that he counts on, is eating the red meat, drinking the beer in the alley.
And then they have this real tender moment, and
Hank comes out of the bathroom. Nothing's happened. And Peggy catches him in the hall. And then they have a real tender moment about how she's going to let him be himself, and he didn't want to be treated like a baby and all that.
She was just telling that she only did this because I want you to be around longer, and because I love you. And Hank, he wraps his arm around her and says, Peggy, I'll still be here for a good long while. She goes, I worry, and then, I do. And
my favorite line from this entire thing, and if I don't ever poop again, well, that's just going to be who I am.
Yeah, that was funny too. And then I think it was real funny. And then he goes, well, I'm a lucky son of a gun. I tell you what, to have a woman like you care so much about me, I'm going to be more open, tell you how I'm doing more, and let you in. And then she goes, I just want this moment to last forever, Hank. And he goes, me too. But it can't.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
All of a sudden, he's got the bubble guts. He's starting to rumble.
And it's funny that it took.
That's right.
Him and this. He's got to tell his wife, "I love you" to incite the shit to take.
I am assuming that they are within 8 hours of this operation taking place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably bedtime, and now he's going. And the last scene of the entire thing is everybody gathered around the bathroom. They hear the flush, and then a choir starts
yeah, on the script notes, it said jubilant choir singing.
Right. And so he spins Peggy around, and now we know that Hank's unmentionable ordeal is over.
And then you get the credits.
This is something that I do not believe happens in the entirety of the rest of the series.
After the credits.
Yes.
It does happen again.
Does
Not in this specific way.
Yeah.
But there are other after the credit scenes where you get just Hank breaking the fourth wall and addressing. I don't know what episodes for sure, and I don't know which ones exactly, but I'm pretty sure that happens again somewhere. But it's still unique for any show.
Yeah, this is a really weird, especially an animated show.
Especially animated show, because you get the PSAs at the end of different shows throughout time, but you never get one from an animated show, and you never get one like we've discussed about society and its change and how it's changed so drastically from that time frame, and how forward thinking Mike Judge and Greg Daniels were in their production of that show, and how many topics they hit that are so relevant today. And this is one of them that they touch on, like political correctness and stuff. This is something that you would think you would see nowadays, not from a show that this is in 1997 still. So we're still in the early 90s.
I can remember watching something like 90210, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, one of them would be on there, like Jason Priestley would be on there going, if you or your friend have a problem with methamphetamines, please call this number.
Yeah, or if you're a teenage alcoholic.
Right, right. So this one is Hank. He comes up on his riding lawnmower, and he says, you might have noticed in tonight's episode there was some brief nudity. Now, as an actor, this is the part that gets me. As an actor,
that was pretty good too. But another thing that gets me too is he rides up on the lawnmower, never gets off the lawnmower to tell you. He didn't ride up on it and use it as the vehicle to drive into the scene and then hop off of it, and then the camera pan with him.
He just on it the whole time.
It's like you're looking for, your mom says, hey, go get your dad out the yard. And then he just puts the lawnmower in park, turns it off, sits there, takes a sip of his beer so you can tell him whatever you got to tell. That's what it reminded me of is, you're running up on your dad in the backyard or something. He's trying to tell you some kind of tale of morality.
He says, as an actor, I only do nudity when I feel the script warrants it. And I thought tonight's episode only warranted seeing the side of my rump.
Oh, and this part, too, I thought was funny. He said, you can believe me when I tell you the Fox executives are pushing for a whole lot more.
That's like the opposite of what the Fox executives
completely
are
opposite.
For. And again,
they caught crap for that episode. That's how you know they caught some kind of shit or something from the executives, was because of this right here.
But again, it's a cartoon.
It is. I want to know the behind the stuff on that. I want to know the story on that, like why they add that disclaimer at the end, which is, he goes, if any of you were offended by my body, I'm truly sorry. And then he says good night.
Good night. And rides off.
And then he rides off, which
just
I thought.
Such a great ending. Yeah.
I really want to know the behind the scenes part on that, like why they added that in there. I bet you they did. I bet you Fox executives were causing some kind of a fuss about it being an episode about constipation.
Probably.
I mean, at this point, Simpsons only been on the air for 7 years in 97, 8 years, because it started at end of 89, beginning of 90, around that time. So they haven't, had a whole crap ton of opportunity to
it's just
be super offensive yet.
Different show though.
Way different.
Because this is this show to me feels like a show you could have with real actors. Simpsons never has. It's never felt that way.
No, you couldn't do a live action Simpsons, no.
Yeah.
You could King of the Hill though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which I wondered, I'm sure it's been discussed and explored. They probably talked about it, but I think that would be, I don't know how I'd feel about that.
I don't want to see that.
No, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'm pretty good on that. I'm ready for the new stuff, though. I'm ready for all the new content that they've got coming out. Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill.
Yeah.
And all their other animated stuff they've got going on. There's supposed to be another animated project that they're doing on Netflix or Hulu or where Paramount, I think, is where they're going to be doing everything.
Everybody's on Paramount. Yeah. I guess that's Fox. So I did have one question for you, though, that I want to kind of explore just a little bit, and then we'll wrap this up. What do you think Hank thinks of the poop emoji?
What does Hank think about the? You know what? Hank probably contacted Google if he, depending on what company he had. Say he had an Android or whatever. He probably contacted the company.
Do you think Hank has a cell phone?
He has to.
Other than just a flip phone at this point. He probably still has a flip phone.
Oh, in 97?
No.
Oh, you're talking about nowadays.
Now.
Well, I don't even think he has. No, he probably has, because all his dispatching is going to be done via cell phone now as a propane operator.
But don't you think he's retired at this point? Maybe he's just got that.
No, he's not retired.
Maybe he's just got that jitterbug phone where it's got the one number. You can just call the hospital. That's it.
I believe he upgraded with technology. He might struggle with it some and have he has a young assistant that sometimes comes in and maybe helps him with it. But I feel like he would have to have.
You think so?
But I feel like now he probably I I feel like Buck Strickland died.
Oh, yeah.
And Buck Strickland is probably dead at this point. He's probably going to be
probably smothered by hookers. Or
probably or cocaine,
Sure.
whatever his vice was. Probably died at the slots, cranking that one-arm bandit.
Right,
probably broke his wrists. But I think that this is what my fan theory is, that he either somehow Buck leaves it to him, the franchise, or he somehow, with the money that he's already saved up, and he goes to retire, but instead of retiring, he's able to put his retirement into purchasing into the franchise, to where he is now the owner of maybe
he's not going to change
propane.
the name, though.
No, why would he change the name?
That was Strickland.
That was his daddy. As a grown man, that was his daddy or whatever. He felt more attached to him than it seemed like he did Cotton at times.
I just cannot imagine Hank ever sending out the poop emoji.
I don't, like I said, I feel like he would have a strongly worded complaint with Android and AT&T or Sprint,
or maybe
whatever.
he thought it was a cupcake when he sent it out, and then somebody told
him, it was something else. That's
Bobby's
not a
like,
cupcake. Soft serve ice cream. Yeah, it was a chocolate ice cream. He's looking for the white one. He's looking for the whitey, but where's the vanilla?
I like vanilla.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's just something that ran through my mind as I was watching this. I think that Hank would have a hard time
I can't
keeping
wait
up
to
with
see
a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I really can't wait to see what they've done with it and where they take it. I really hope they bring. I mean, it's just like, I don't know how you bring back a dead voice actor. I mean, they can't bring back Brittany Murphy, rest in peace. But I don't know how they keep that character. Now, if they age her up and they get a raspy, like somebody that's like a cigarette smoked voice. But I don't want to say that Luann smokes cigarettes. Yeah, Janine Garofalo. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Or kind of like the I was gonna say what's her name? Fran Drescher, but that's not the kind of voice you're looking for.
Fran Drescher
she's not from Texas.
Well, she had like throat cancer or something.
Oh, that's why she sounded that way?
No.
She ended up having
I think
cancer.
she's fine now. I saw her on some award show the other night. She's like the president of the Screen Actors Guild or something like that at this point.
Oh, yeah, she's up there.
But she did sound different. She did sound very different.
Well, that's like Val Kilmer. They have that special on. They had that deal on Amazon, and I watched that. And man, he's some of my favorite movies are The Saint and Tombstone and Top Gun, like his, the ones that really made him real big, especially Tombstone. Tombstone was huge for him, being Doc Holliday.
Oh yeah,
and then seeing him, after he's, what all he's been through and stuff, man, it's painful.
He's in tough shape.
Yeah, he's in real tough shape. It was kind of like when Patrick Swayze wasted away too from pancreatic cancer and stuff like that. We're all human, even the ones with millions of dollars.
This took a real depressing turn.
It did take a depressing turn.
Didn't it? Well, anyway, King of the Hill's fun.
Yeah, well, poop and constipation is depressing.
All right, guys. We will be back next time with Season 1, Episode 7.
Episode 7.
Yeah, we're starting to truck here. We're starting to get through them.
I think this is where we meet the Sufanusophones.
It is. It's the Khan episode.
Which was supposed to be introduced in the first episode.
Really?
So they waited 7 episodes to air him, to bring him in. Yeah, when they were first designing and wanting to do it, they were wanting to put, most of what is the main characters of the show.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's in the neighborhood, so he's attached to that one of the main parts of the show. There's a lot of episodes with him in it, so.
Oh, yeah. Khan ends up being a very important part of the show.
And they wanted to add him at the beginning to kind of introduce everybody, but they were like, well, we don't want it to be an overload at one time, so they waited, 7 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was by design, 7 episodes, but they don't bring him in until that last episode, that seventh episode. So we only have 4
more in the first season.
I think so.
Yeah.
12 episodes, right?
Yeah.
12 or 13.
Yeah.
So we only got 4. Damn, we're moving through it.
We're going to get through it, man. Here we go. We're going to have a party at the end of Season 1, right?
Yeah, we can. We can do a party maybe at the end of every season.
We're talking about doing a watch party or something.
Yeah, maybe like 5 of our favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe we get together and we kind of curate it.
You think we can keep people in a room for 5 episodes?
I know at least 3 people that'll show up and sit in the room for 5 episodes.
There you go.
If nothing else.
All right, guys. If you want to know more, check us out at roguemedianetwork.com. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts.
Absolutely. And look out for a King of the Hill. We're going to do social media for King of the Hill podcast. So be on the lookout for that. We'll shout that out in the next podcast once we have that fleshed out. But it'll be like an Instagram, Twitter, something like that, just so we could do some King of the Hill memeing and
nothing but poop emojis.
Nothing but poop emojis, right. And do some King of the Hill memeing, and then give you another place to reach out and submit stuff, whatever you want to send us or whatever. But be on the lookout for that.
That'd be awesome. All right, guys, check us next time. We'll see you then, and make sure you check your chocolate sauce.
Wimitanye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you would. Not really, but please subscribe.
Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.